The night often begins with silence, but inside that silence there is a stirring, a restlessness that many of us know well. It is the quiet whisper of questions that we carry, yet rarely voice out loud. Am I truly on the right path? Are the signs I see coincidences or messages meant for me? Why do some moments feel like the universe is conspiring in my favor, while at outros me deixam perdido em incerteza? These questions are not trivial curiosities. They are the very pulse of our busca por sentido, the evidence that deep within we yearn for a connection that vai além do que os olhos podem ver. In this opening chapter, we must pause to acknowledge something fundamental. O universo não fala em frases lineares, mas em símbolos padrões e encontros que chegam exatamente quando nossa alma está aberta para recebê-los. É no cruzamento entre nossa necessidade de clareza e a dança invisível da realidade que surgem as sincronicidades, those moments that feel too precise to be random, yet too subtle to be commanded at will. The introduction to this journey is not about offering quick answers, but about inviting you into a different way of perceiving, one that values the gentle rhythm of alignment, the sacred art of patience, and the humility of listening deeply. Every viewer who arrives at this video carries in some form a story of disconnection. Perhaps you have felt the silence of unanswered prayers, the weight of repeating cycles, the ache of waiting for life to finally make sense. Perhaps you have asked for a sign and wondered if the universe forgot you. These feelings are not failures, they are part of the path. They remind us that transformation is not born out of perfection, but out of longing, fragility, and the courage to ask again. The promise here is not that you will learn to control the universe, but that you will learn to converse with it, to trust its timing, and to recognize when it speaks in whispers rather than in thunder. As we step into this exploration together, imagine the possibility that you are already being guided, that the very act of watching this is part of your sign. The chapters ahead will unfold as a continuous journey, from understanding what synchronicity truly is, to learning how to prepare your inner state, to discerning the difference between noise and guidance, and finally, to acting with grace when the answers arrive. This introduction is the threshold, the moment of slowing down enough to notice that the universe has never stopped speaking. The question is, are you ready to finally listen with both trust and presence? The language of synchronicity. There are moments in life that defy the logic of chance. You think of a person you have not spoken to in years, and suddenly your phone lights up with their name. You struggle with an important decision, and then a stranger's casual remark echoes the exact words you needed to hear. These are not accidents of probability, but signals woven through the fabric of our daily lives, small doorways into the deeper dialogue between our inner state and the universe around us. The concept of synchronicity, as first articulated by Carl Jung, rests on this truth. Meaning can appear in the alignment of outer events with inner needs, and when it does, it is not random, it is a reflection. To understand synchronicity is to step into a language that does not use words but patterns. It is a dialogue made of repetition, timing, and resonance. Numbers that recur on clocks or receipts, animals that cross your path in moments of reflection, dreams that carry themes mirrored in waking life. All of these are ways the universe responds. Yet the response is not external alone. It is mirrored by our ability to notice, to receive, and to interpret. Without the inner readiness, the outer sign passes unnoticed. This is why synchronicity is not merely a cosmic performance, but a co-creation between your consciousness and the wider field of reality. What makes synchronicity powerful is not only the uncanny feeling it provokes, but the reassurance it carries. You are not moving blindly. Life is not an indifferent sequence of obstacles and victories. It is a relationship. This sense of being in dialogue with existence is deeply healing for those who feel abandoned by fate or unheard in prayer. When the universe answers in this symbolic language, it restores faith. Even if the message is subtle, the recognition brings a shift from isolation to communion. That shift alone can ease the weight of disconnection and awaken a new sense of belonging. But how do we truly discern between coincidence and synchronicity? Coincidence happens without a depth of meaning. It can be amusing or curious, but does not echo something stirring in your inner world. Synchronicity, on the other hand, carries the weight of significance. It feels charged, as though reality has bent slightly to emphasize its presence. This charge often arrives with a physical sensation, a warmth in the chest, a stillness in the breath, or even a gentle shiver down the spine. Our bodies, attuned to subtle signals, become instruments of interpretation. They remind us that this is not just about external validation, but about resonance within the nervous system, the emotional heart, and the intuitive mind. An essential point in this dialogue is timing. Synchronicity does not respond to impatience. The universe is not a vending machine where we insert a question and immediately receive an answer. Instead, it waits for alignment. It teaches patience by responding when both the question and the questioner are ready. Sometimes that readiness requires stillness, at other times courage. When we resist the need for immediate control, we create space for the right sign to appear. In this way, synchronicity is as much about the cultivation of surrender as it is about recognition of patterns. Another crucial aspect is that synchronicity rarely gives you the entire map. It offers a lamp, not a floodlight. The purpose is not to eliminate the unknown, but to guide your next step. This is why many people feel frustrated when expecting the universe to deliver absolute clarity. The language of signs is not designed to erase uncertainty, but to strengthen trust. Trust becomes the bridge that carries you from one sign to the next, deepening your relationship with both yourself and the unfolding of life. Consider how synchronicity interacts with intention. When you set an intention with clarity and sincerity, you tune your perception. The reticular activating system in your brain filters reality according to what you value and expect. Suddenly, signals that were always present rise to the surface of your awareness. This neurological process is one layer, but synchronicity adds another, the alignment of outer circumstances that meet your intention halfway. The two together form a dance, your focus drawing attention to patterns and the universe amplifying them through alignment. This is why intention-setting rituals are so powerful. They prepare the mind to notice and the heart to receive. Of course, there are obstacles to this awareness. Anxiety and desperation cloud perception, causing us either to see signs everywhere or to dismiss them entirely. When driven by fear, the mind grasps at meaning and distorts coincidence into prophecy. When closed by cynicism, the mind rejects even the most meaningful synchronicities as mere accidents. Both extremes create distance from the true dialogue. The balanced path lies in openness without obsession, in trust without demand. It is the willingness to be surprised without insisting on certainty. Examples from daily life can ground this idea. Imagine walking through a period of uncertainty about a career change. You ask inwardly for clarity. The next day, a friend mentions a book that directly addresses your dilemma. Later that week, you overhear a conversation in a cafe that mirrors your thoughts. Neither event guarantees the perfect choice, but together they nudge you toward exploration. These nudges, when consistent and resonant, invite you to lean into the flow of guidance. This is not magical thinking. It is a practice of presence, of honoring the signals that arise in rhythm with your life's unfolding. Synchronicity also demands reciprocity. A sign acknowledged but not acted upon fades into curiosity. A sign acknowledged and followed deepens the relationship. The universe is less concerned with dazzling displays than with your willingness to co-create. Each time you take a step aligned with the signs you receive, you reinforce the conversation. This feedback loop strengthens your trust and sharpens your ability to perceive with clarity. Ultimately, synchronicity is not about extraordinary moments alone. It is about cultivating a way of living where the ordinary becomes infused with meaning. A walk through the neighborhood becomes an opportunity for guidance. A song on the radio becomes an echo of your inner world. A stranger's kindness becomes a reminder that you are supported. This way of seeing does not remove the challenges of life, but it transforms them. It teaches you to look at every situation as part of a dialogue rather than as an isolated struggle. This chapter is an invitation to refine your listening, to begin regarding life as a partner in conversation. The more you honor the subtle language of synchronicity, the more fluent you become in its patterns. In that fluency lies confidence. You do not need to force answers. You can trust the timing of their arrival. You do not need to fear being abandoned by fate. You can rest in the knowledge that guidance is always present, waiting for your attention to meet it. And above all, you discover that the universe does not speak to a select few. It speaks to all who are willing to listen, with both humility and courage. The inner state of alignment. The signs of synchronicity may appear everywhere, yet they remain invisible to those who have not prepared the inner ground. Just as a seed cannot grow in soil that is hardened and dry, guidance from the universe cannot take root in a mind dominated by fear, impatience, or constant distraction. The state you cultivate within yourself is not merely a backdrop to your experiences. It is the very lens through which you perceive meaning. If that lens is clouded with doubt, cynicism, or desperation, the symbols and patterns that are meant to guide you will blur into noise. Alignment, then, begins not with the world outside, but with the atmosphere of your inner life. Alignment is not a rigid discipline where every thought must be perfect. Rather, it is a process of coherence, a gradual tuning of mind, body, and spirit into the same frequency of openness. Imagine a musical instrument. When one string is tuned correctly, the others resonate more easily. Similarly, when you bring your breath into rhythm, your nervous system into calm, and your attention into clarity, your entire being becomes more receptive. This is why practices of silence, meditation, or simple conscious breathing are so transformative. They are not luxuries for the spiritually inclined. They are necessary rituals that create coherence. In that coherence, you no longer chase signs frantically, but begin to notice them as they naturally emerge. Yet, many resist this inner work because it requires slowing down. The modern world feeds on urgency, convincing us that answers must come instantly. But urgency is the enemy of perception. When your body is flooded with stress hormones, your focus narrows, your awareness contracts, and you miss the subtleties that carry guidance. Alignment invites a different rhythm, slower, steadier, more attuned to the quiet voice beneath the noise. In this slower rhythm, you discover that the universe is never silent. It is our restlessness that drowns its voice. One of the most profound aspects of alignment is emotional honesty. Too often, seekers attempt to bypass their pain in order to reach a state of spiritual clarity. They believe they must silence grief, repress anger, or mask fear before they can connect with higher guidance. But this avoidance fragments the self. True alignment does not mean erasing the difficult emotions. It means creating space for them to exist without letting them dominate. The universe does not require perfection from you. It requires authenticity. When you allow yourself to admit the depth of your loneliness or the weight of your doubt, you make room for genuine healing. It is within that authenticity that synchronicity finds fertile ground. Another element of alignment is intention. An unfocused mind produces scattered perception. If you do not know what you are asking for, how can you recognize the answer when it appears? Alignment requires not only emotional coherence, but also clarity of purpose. Setting an intention is not the same as clinging to a demand. It is about defining the quality of guidance you seek, whether it is clarity in relationships, courage in decision-making, or peace in times of loss. Once you set the intention, the practice is to hold it gently, without obsessing, trusting that the universe will echo it back when the time is right. In this process, the body becomes a vital compass. Many people imagine alignment as a purely mental task, but the body often perceives truth before the mind does. A sense of expansion in the chest, a sudden calm, or a subtle warmth may accompany a genuine sign. Conversely, a tightening in the stomach or a heaviness in the shoulders can reveal when something does not align. Listening to these signals is part of the training. They are not infallible, but they remind you that alignment is as physical as it is spiritual. There is also the question of trust. Without trust, alignment collapses under the weight of doubt. Trust is not blind optimism, nor is it a guarantee that life will unfold exactly as you want. It is the steady recognition that even in uncertainty, you are not abandoned. Trust does not remove difficulty but reframes it, allowing you to see challenges as part of the same dialogue that delivers synchronicity. It is the conviction that the universe answers, even when the form of that answer surprises you. Let us consider a simple example. Imagine someone who has been struggling with a sense of purposelessness. They carry a quiet longing for direction, but live in a constant rush of tasks, numbing themselves with distractions. In such a state, even if meaningful synchronicities surround them, they go unnoticed. Now imagine that this person begins a daily practice of pausing, breathing, and writing one clear intention each morning. Over time, Their inner state shifts. They begin to notice recurring themes in conversations, repeated symbols in their environment, dreams that echo their questions. These patterns were always present, but only when alignment softened the noise did they emerge into clarity. The outer world had not changed, the inner atmosphere had. The journey of alignment is not linear. There will be days of clarity and days of fog, moments of peace and moments of resistance. This is natural. Alignment is less about permanent perfection and more about returning again and again to the center, even after you drift. Like the breath which rises and falls, alignment is a rhythm you cultivate, not a static achievement. Each return strengthens your capacity to perceive, and each perception deepens your faith in the dialogue with the universe. In the end, the inner state of alignment is not about controlling the conversation, but about becoming attuned enough to participate in it. You do not force signs to appear. You prepare yourself to notice when they do. You do not dictate the timing. You trust the rhythm. You do not demand certainty. You embrace the guidance one step at a time. In this way, alignment transforms life itself into a partnership. You discover that the universe has always been speaking, not in grand declarations, but in subtle echoes that meet you when your inner world is quiet enough to listen. The subtle art of interpretation. If synchronicity is the language of the universe, then interpretation is the art of translation. A sign without interpretation is like a book unopened. It exists, but its message remains hidden. Yet interpretation is not the same as imposing meaning. It is not about bending every coincidence into prophecy, nor dismissing every resonance as random chance. True interpretation lies in the middle path, where humility and curiosity guide perception. To interpret is to listen with both mind and heart, to let meaning emerge rather than forcing it. Many people fall into extremes when facing synchronicities. On one side is overinterpretation, where every small detail becomes exaggerated into significance. A cloud formation, a passing phrase, a glance from a stranger, all are seized upon as cosmic revelations. This often springs from desperation, the need for constant reassurance. On the other side is underinterpretation, where even striking alignments are waved away as coincidence. This comes from cynicism, the fear of being naive. Neither extreme honors the dialogue. Overinterpretation distorts the message, while underinterpretation silences it. Balance is found in discernment, a capacity cultivated slowly through reflection, presence, and honesty. Interpretation begins with the question of resonance. A true sign carries a subtle weight, a quiet electricity that lingers beyond the moment. It feels as though reality has paused briefly to underline something already stirring within you. This resonance is not always euphoric. Sometimes it is calm, almost ordinary, but unmistakably aligned. Other times it is unsettling, confronting you with what you did not want to see. Either way, resonance invites attention. The body often responds before the mind does. A stillness in the breath, a chill across the skin, a sudden warmth in the heart. To interpret well is to trust these embodied signals without allowing them to become your only guide. Context also matters deeply. A feather on the ground may mean little on an ordinary day, but if you had asked for a sign of reassurance the night before, the same feather can take on profound meaning. Interpretation requires attention to timing, to the alignment between the inner question and the outer event. Without context, symbols remain floating fragments. With context, they become threads in a larger tapestry. There is also the matter of repetition. A single occurrence may intrigue you, but when the same symbol or theme repeats across different areas of your life, its meaning grows stronger. Repetition is the universe's way of amplifying its voice, yet even repetition requires patience. Not every recurrence is a directive. Sometimes it is simply a reminder to stay aware. Interpretation, therefore, is an art of distinguishing between gentle echoes and urgent calls. One of the most profound challenges in interpretation is the temptation to twist signs into validation of what we already want. The mind, when attached to a specific outcome, easily reshapes synchronicities into convenient confirmations. This is why humility is essential. A true sign may not always confirm your desire. It may redirect you or even close a path. The courage to accept guidance that contradicts your plans is the mark of maturity in this dialogue. It shows that you are not using the universe as a mirror of your ego, but as a partner in co-creation. Interpretation also benefits from reflection. Keeping a journal of synchronicities allows you to see patterns over time, rather than relying on memory alone. What may seem insignificant in the moment can reveal its meaning weeks later when seen alongside other events. This practice teaches patience and perspective. It shows that meaning often unfolds in layers, requiring space and time to be understood fully. An important element in interpretation is simplicity. The universe rarely speaks in riddles too complex to understand. If you find yourself creating elaborate explanations, you may be forcing meaning where none exists. True guidance is often clear, direct, and accompanied by a sense of calm certainty. Complexity is more often the product of overthinking than of authentic synchronicity. Consider an example. Imagine you are contemplating whether to move to a new city. You set this question quietly in your heart. Over the next week, you encounter multiple references to that city, in conversations, in articles, even in unexpected images. At the same time, your body responds with a sense of openness whenever the idea arises. The alignment of repetition, timing, and embodied resonance points toward guidance. Interpreting this does not mean you must uproot your life immediately. It means you are being invited to explore more deeply, to take steps that test the possibility. Interpretation provides direction, not absolute certainty. Another example may be more challenging. Suppose you long for a relationship to continue, but signs repeatedly point to release. Dreams of endings, recurring encounters with themes of letting go, feelings of heaviness whenever you cling to hope. These are not the signs we want, but often they are the ones we need. To interpret them honestly is to face the possibility that the universe is guiding you toward closure, not continuation. Such interpretation requires courage, but it also carries the gift of freedom, of being spared the exhaustion of holding on to what no longer serves you. Ultimately, interpretation is an act of relationship. It is not about decoding a puzzle, but about responding to a conversation. Each sign is an invitation to listen more deeply, to act with greater alignment, to trust the unfolding of your life. This requires both attentiveness and surrender. Attentiveness to notice, surrender to accept what is revealed. The more you practice, the more fluent you become in this symbolic language. With time, the dialogue deepens, and life itself becomes a text you are learning to read, one page, one sign, one resonance at a time. The courage to act, recognizing synchronicity and learning to interpret it are profound steps, but the true transformation begins when you allow those insights to shape your choices. Without action, even the clearest sign fades into the background, like an unopened letter. The universe does not send messages to decorate our days with mystery alone. It speaks to invite movement. Acting upon synchronicity requires courage, because the steps it points toward often stretch us beyond the comfort of what we already know. The fear of action is ancient. Beneath it lies the instinct to preserve safety at all costs. When a sign suggests change, a new path, a release, an unfamiliar opportunity, it stirs that instinctive hesitation. The mind immediately summons reasons to wait, to gather more evidence, to postpone until the perfect confirmation arrives. But the nature of synchronicity is not to hand you absolute certainty. Instead, it gives you a lamp that illuminates only the next few steps. To act in alignment with synchronicity, you must accept partial light. You must learn to move even when the path ahead is not entirely revealed. Courage here does not mean reckless leaps. It is not abandoning everything in a burst of impulsive faith. Rather, it is about the steady willingness to take one clear step that commits you to the direction of the sign, while remaining open to correction if new guidance appears. This balance of movement and openness keeps you aligned with flow rather than trapped in stubbornness. Acting with courage is not defying uncertainty. It is learning to carry uncertainty as a companion while still moving forward. Consider how many lives remain stagnant because of the fear of wrong action. People sense signs calling them toward a new career, a new relationship, or a deeper spiritual practice, yet they wait endlessly for a thunderclap of clarity. In that waiting, opportunities dissolve. Synchronicity is not designed to eliminate risk, but to reduce blindness. The courage to act is the bridge that turns possibility into reality. Without crossing that bridge, the dialogue with the universe remains incomplete. It is often in the smallest actions that the universe responds most powerfully. Sending a message, scheduling a meeting, starting a journal, or visiting a new place, these gestures of commitment create ripples that expand into unforeseen opportunities. When you act, you declare readiness. The universe, in turn, answers with further alignment. This feedback loop strengthens the bond between you and the field of guidance. Inaction, by contrast, signals hesitation, and the conversation quiets. The body again plays a role here. Courage is not merely a mental decision, it is embodied. When you stand at the threshold of action, notice the sensations within you. Fear may tighten your chest, but beneath that tension, there is often a subtle pulse of excitement, a sense of life stirring. To act with courage is to honor that deeper pulse, even while fear remains present. It is to recognize that fear is not the enemy, but the evidence that you are stepping into new territory where growth becomes possible. There is also the question of timing. Acting with courage does not mean rushing blindly. It requires attentiveness to the rhythm of the moment. Some signs invite immediate response, while others ask for preparation. The art lies in discerning when to move swiftly and when to build quietly toward readiness. Both require courage, the first to leap, the second to wait without retreating into avoidance. An example can illustrate this dance. Imagine someone receiving repeated synchronicities pointing toward creative expression, conversations about writing, unexpected compliments on communication, dreams of books and storytelling. At first, fear whispers, "You are not good enough. It is too late. Others will judge." But the courage to act does not demand finishing a book tomorrow. It begins with writing a single page, sharing a single story, signing up for a class. That first step declares alignment. From there, new signs and opportunities emerge, confirming and expanding the path. Another example may involve endings. Suppose life is filled with signs urging release, a job that drains energy, a relationship that erodes peace, habits that keep you small. Acting on such signs may feel terrifying, as endings often do. Yet to remain in misalignment is to carry a quiet erosion of spirit. Courage here is not in abandoning recklessly, but in making one honest move, a conversation, a boundary, a resignation prepared with integrity. Each act of release creates space for the new. Courage also requires faith in the unseen. You may not know exactly where the path leads, but you know that remaining still is no longer aligned. Acting upon synchronicity is not about guaranteeing success, but about honoring truth. And truth has a way of opening doors that fear could never predict. Ultimately, the courage to act transforms synchronicity from philosophy into lived reality. It is the moment where theory becomes embodiment, where whispers turn into steps, where signs evolve into stories of transformation. To live with courage is to accept that you will never have all the answers in advance, but you will always have enough light for the step you are on. That step, taken with trust, draws the next sign into view. Life becomes a journey walked not in perfect certainty, but in faithful dialogue, one action at a time. The journey through synchronicity is not simply about learning to notice unusual patterns or searching for signs of destiny. It is about reclaiming the intimacy of your dialogue with life itself. To understand the language of synchronicity is to remember that you are not wandering aimlessly in a universe that is indifferent to you. Instead, you are moving within a field that listens, responds, and reflects the state of your own heart and mind. Each sign, each pattern, each mysterious alignment is not a command but an invitation, an opening into deeper trust, clarity, and courage. What we have explored together is more than philosophy. It is a practice of living. Alignment begins within, through coherence of body, mind, and spirit. Interpretation follows as you learn to discern resonance from noise with honesty and humility. And then courage calls you forward, asking that you take real steps that transform symbols into lived experience. It is in this final step that synchronicity fulfills its purpose, not to entertain or distract, but to guide and reshape your path. The beauty of this process lies in its accessibility. You do not need rare abilities, perfect circumstances, or flawless faith to experience synchronicity. You need only to be present, to listen with sincerity, and to act with integrity. Life itself then becomes the teacher, the mirror, the companion. Through synchronicity, the ordinary is transfigured into meaning, and the uncertain is transformed into trust. At its heart, synchronicity is a reminder that you are never truly alone. Every whisper, every pattern, every echo is part of a greater conversation between your soul and the universe. And when you learn to walk in that conversation, you carry with you a peace that does not depend on outcomes, but on connection itself. This is the essence of living in the flow, with confidence, with openness, and with the quiet certainty that guidance is always near. Now, I want to leave you with one question that lingers beyond this moment. What if the signs you've been waiting for have already been placed before you, and all that remains is the courage to act upon them? Let that question stay with you, not as pressure, but as an opening to listen more deeply to your own life. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel so that you can continue exploring these teachings and grow with this community. And do not stop here. On your screen, you will find another video that will guide you further into the mysteries of manifestation and connection with the universe. Continue your journey there. And remember, every step you take is part of the dialogue. Every action, an answer to the conversation that never ends.